Our goal by episode 10, we'll have that intro video.
I'm so excited.
Hello, hello.
What's
Hello,
up,
people.
everybody? Happy Thursday.
Yes. Almost to the
Happy
weekend.
Thursday.
Almost Friday Eve.
Friday
Happy
Junior.
almost summertime. Officially, almost there. Super close.
I love it.
Good morning, everybody. We are super excited to be here again today, and we are super excited to have a very special guest with us,
Hello, hello, everybody.
Liz.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course. So we'll let you introduce. We'll do some introductions for those of you who have not been here. My name is Sarah. Everyone calls me Scho. I am the CEO founder of Scho Behavior Academy.
I love that. I love Scho. Coach Scho, always here to set the record straight when it comes to student behavior. And I am Sherann, the principal school counselor, and I am the founder of Counselor Concierge, where we support school systems and infrastructure, making sure that our student support teams are doing the work, the good work, and aligned with our school-wide and district priorities.
All right. And I am Liz. I am founder CEO of L.Brown Educational Consulting, and I help teachers take their classrooms from chaos to calm through classroom management strategies. Because the reality is, college is great. We need a degree, but for some reason, we always skip over classroom management in those teacher prep programs. So I'm here to make sure that you have what you need to be successful, because without it, have fun. It'll be hard. So
Mhm.
that's what I do. That's what I specialize in. And it's so important, so needed.
I absolutely agree. I would love for you to talk more about that as you said that in your intro, because my business is very similar with my background in behavior science. And as a behavior specialist, one thing that I really notice is just the lack of education and preparation, maybe is the better word, preparation of classroom management and behavior supports and just behavior understanding, which is what I'm trying to do. Like, let's really set that basic understanding and knowledge of behavior so you understand everything. Tell me more about what you would love for that to look like, or what you think new teachers are missing out on, or when you see that brand new teacher that comes in, what do you think they're missing, or what do you wish that they knew about?
Absolutely. So I think when it comes to what new teachers are missing, a lot of the, college prep programs that I see, or teacher prep programs, and this isn't just in Michigan where I am, it's like across the board. They'll get like maybe 1 or 2 days, or a special speaker, someone like me, to come in and talk about classroom management for maybe an hour. And then it's just hush hush. And they send them off to teacher assisting or student teaching, and they have a student who's throwing a chair across the room, a student who's blurting, a student who just gets up and walks out of the classroom, or whatever it is. And they're like, I have no idea what to do. Or you go in to do an evaluation or an observation. And that's a lot of what I did as a former principal. And I'm like, it's pure chaos in here. These kids, half of them aren't listening. The other half, who are kind of listening, are really not engaged, but they're compliant. So no one's really enjoying the day. The teacher looks ultra stressed and is like ready to walk out. And I'm like, this can't continue. This is why we're losing teachers so rapidly. And again, I can't fix your salary. I can't, give you a raise. But what I can do is give you those systems so that when you walk into the classroom, I'm not saying that everybody's facing forward looking at the board, because that doesn't mean that you have good classroom management either. That's kind of militant. But what I'm saying is, I want to give you the system and the tools and tricks so that you can create a classroom where everyone is learning, not just in compliance, but actually engaged in what's happening. And you aren't hiding under your desk at lunchtime crying because your students are falling apart, right? Like it's just a reality. And so many new teachers
Yeah.
are just not getting that.
Mhm.
Or when they are student teaching and things go down, their cooperating teacher takes care of it and they don't. So then what happens? You get your own classroom. On the first day of school, they shut the door and say, I'll see you in June, have fun. And
Yeah.
you're like, what am I
Mm,
supposed to do? You're looking
Mm,
like a deer in the headlights because little Susie just threw her Berenstain Bears book across the room
yeah.
because she got mad at Timmy for calling her a name, right? Like all of these little things. And I know those may seem like large, big scenarios, but the reality is like, no, these things are happening every single day in classrooms all over, and people are just walking out. I
Yeah.
watched a teacher when I was teaching, or like early on, who left her keys on the table with her students sitting there and walked out of the building and quit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure there was a bucket of reasons that I probably don't understand, but I'm like, if we're watching teachers literally walk out in front of their classroom, they're definitely going to walk out at the end of the day, and they're
Yeah.
definitely going to resign at the end of the year. So what do we need to put in place to
Mm,
keep great teachers? That's
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 1,000%. I think there is a lot of, especially what I see with behavior supports, a lot of this is what I heard just on the board, or this is what I briefly heard during my, schooling, quick side note of like classroom management
mhm.
is so important and here's why. But then almost that transfer to what does this look like now in the moment when you aren't just focused. Like I also kind of my ignorance when I first was in schools didn't quite realize how much teachers were managing at any moment,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like scheduling, pacing guides, just the insane amount. And then now classroom management, but it's really hard to manage a classroom when you don't know how to implement it, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's easy to be like, well, I did all these things and I checked them off, but that implementation is actually a skill that needs to be learned and not just a, well, here's what to do. I checked it off, but like, how does this actually work now in the moment when like I'm live with 25 plus kids in
Yes.
the classroom?
Well, and I think the implementation and then actually practicing is where
Mhm.
there's a breakdown, because I can give you all these tips and tricks and you can have all the knowledge and all the acronyms and all the things that you need right in this toolkit. But if you don't ever take anything out of the kit and practice it, you're still not going to have a good school year, right? Classroom management isn't just about knowledge and knowing the systems. This isn't math facts, right? Like this
Mhm.
isn't Bible knowledge. Do you know your important people in history, or the books of the Bible? Like this is actual information that you need to implement and then keep implementing. Just because they lined up great one time does not mean that they get it. They
Mhm.
might just be in a hurry to get to PE.
Mhm. Mhm.
Listen, the thing that they want to do, the
Right?
thing that they
Like
want, yeah.
you need to do that again and again and again and again. The good thing is, at least in elementary school, you line up a lot. So you get to practice it a lot.
Mhm.
But what about, how do students walk into the classroom in the morning? Are they high-fiving you? Are they giving you a hug? Are they just saying good morning and going straight to their seats? We got middle schoolers who run and jump and hit the top door frame of the door. Is that okay in your classroom? Do you allow that? Do you not want them to do that? Like, you have to have a procedure and a system in place so your students know what to expect. And my hope and my prayer is that it's so good that when you have a substitute walk in, those students still know what to do, because that's the
Mhm.
true sign of a good classroom management system. Is if I leave and I'm nowhere near the building for the day and you have a sub come in, are we still going to run this classroom the same, or are
Yeah.
you going to feel like I don't really know what to do? No, 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 you do know what to do.
Yeah.
So
No. So question. Oh, go ahead, Sherann.
Okay, so really quickly, so you and I share, Liz, you and I share a particular area of expertise, which is school leadership. And so you said something, and you highlighted it, Scho. You said that teacher prep programs are new teachers. Well, no, sorry, the question is about teacher prep programs. You said something about new teachers and a particular skill. So I'm wondering what you noticed that is missing. So what is the thing that is having teachers put their keys down and walk out? You know what I mean? Like what is not being taught, or what is not being included in today's training that is needed for our current, educational landscape in our schools to support with student behaviors.
Mm-hmm. I think one piece, because I think there's a few, but one of the pieces is really having not only your classroom management system, but what do you do when that does break down? Because I think a lot of times we can have new teachers who are great and
Mm-hmm.
they are able to, tell you all the things they practice, they implemented, but little Timmy still hit Johnny in the head with a chair. Like, what do we do in those moments when it's a really big behavior? And you can kind of think of it as like tier one, tier two, tier three. Like,
Yeah.
tier one, I can handle in the classroom. Tier two, we're getting kind of big. I'm starting to see this repeated behavior. But tier three is like, okay, I have a kid bleeding because another kid hit them. What am I supposed to do? And I
Yeah.
think it's talking about that, because it's not the blurting that's going to get a teacher to quit. It's not the, you know, they keep, talking over other kids, or they walk out of the classroom. That's not going to make somebody quit. It's when someone feels like I can't keep these students safe and no one's going to help me keep them safe, that they
Mm-hmm.
feel like, okay, I got to go now. And
Yeah.
that's when you need a team similar to like Sarah with, behavior, and with you as a counselor. Like, we need to have another conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we need to get other people in the room. So all the system, all the great tools and tricks aside, what happens when you get to a point where you're like, now things are unsafe? What am I supposed to do? That's when people are setting their keys on the desk and walking out.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think that also makes me think, so we all agree it's important, but
Mm-hmm.
then why is it so difficult to maintain? Or like what processes and procedures, um, how do we align a system, I think is more the question.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I ask that is just like with my background with moderate to severe, like managing moderate to severe challenging behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
what I see as a challenge might be completely different from you, might be completely different from Sherann, right? So it's either
Absolutely.
I have walked into classrooms and seen a teacher get a pencil thrown at them, and it's like, this is a safety concern, and like we need tier 3 supports. And I'm kind of like, a pencil is not a desk, like, yes, maybe a pencil could
Absolutely.
become dangerous, and if it accidentally hits your eye, like there are just things that can happen, but it's also like, it was a pencil. So then how do you align around some of those systems? Like, what do you need to really know and understand? And I know I have my thoughts, but like, what is a safety situation? Because I think that is what I see as well. What is a safety situation? And then if you're telling me your whole class or more than half your class needs a safety plan,
Mm.
like, is that, is it really now a kids issue? Is it a classroom management issue? So speaking more of like safety versus
Mm.
chaos.
Right. Right. I think so. To answer your question, if someone calls you into a classroom as a behavior specialist and they say more than half of their students, or even more than like, I don't know, 5 out of 25 need a behavior plan, or whatever you want to call it, then I'm going to start looking at your classroom management and your teacher. That's just a reality, because no matter what school you're at, I can't
Mm.
fathom why more than 5 students in one room need a behavior plan,
Mhm.
unless they are like quintuplets and they somehow have the exact same DNA and come from the exact same home. But I it would really surprise me if 5 or more students in one classroom need a behavior plan. Then I'm going to start looking the leader, the adult in the room, and say what pieces are missing.
Yeah.
Do students not know the procedures? Because if you say, well, they're acting out, or and I go in and I'm like, that's because they don't know what to do right now. What do you expect third graders to do when they think they have free time? They're going to talk and play around. You didn't tell them what to do during group work, right? Or if you say, well, they're playing around in the hallway, well, of course they are, because you didn't tell them the expectation that they need to go to their locker, get their lunch, and come in quietly.
And can I say something? So it's not even just saying it; it's modeling it.
Absolutely.
Like, so whether it's
and following through.
Right. So you mentioned elementary school. So whether it's at a 5th or 6th grade, depending on how your school model works, my like, oh, let's check out our 5th graders. They're practicing and they're showing us exactly what we do. You know what I mean? Like how. So it's not, sometimes it's just the words. It's actually, this is what it looks like. So just in case you didn't know. That's my mother's a veteran educator, 52 years, right? Like,
oh yes.
Her favorite line is, just in case you didn't know, this is actually what it looks like.
Exactly. Just in case. But yeah, I think to answer your question, Scho, like, yes, we haven't, like, there might be a couple students who need a behavior plan, sure. And that's a different conversation where we dig into what's going on. Only if we see a repeated pattern. Do not put them on a behavior plan for one little mistake.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Right? Like, let's name that, because people also like to do that too, right? But I think if you're starting to see, like, I'm getting referrals for the same classroom over and over and over again, I need to talk to the adult, and I need to spend some time in that room, or whoever the school leader is, to find out where are the gaps, because I don't think it's the students. I think they're just being 8-year-olds, and we don't have a good classroom management system happening in here, and they're not sure what to do. So because they're 8, they're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? But again, on the flip side, like, as an educator, you have to understand the development of a student. Yep. If they get an answer correct and they high five each other, why are you sending them to the office?
Yeah.
They didn't do anything wrong. He was proud of his friend, so he gave him a high five. Right? Yep. Like, come on, teachers, work with me here.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not an office referral. A high five is like, hey, you knew that hard math fact.
I'm proud of you. Yeah.
I'm proud of you. We did that. Right? You read that whole, chapter. You weren't even reading that much when we were in 1st grade together. I'm proud of you. Right? Like, we need more of that. But if you're sending them down to me as a school leader because they high fived each other.
Yeah.
What? So, but that's a whole different tangent.
And that goes into what, hey, Charlene, how are you? Glad you're here. About safety first. And I think even thinking about that safety first, though, of what is safety? How do you have that defined as a community, as a classroom, as a school, right? So, like, what does that mean? And also defining and being aligned to what are infractions to safety, because one thing I see consistently too as a behavior specialist is a lot of adults respond to minor escalations in the same way as they do like peak escalated behavior, and not realizing like there's levels to this, like there's levels to this, and how I respond as an adult, like verbal de-escalation for those minors. Then I'm in some behavior management, and then even like crisis management looks completely different. Like when a kiddo's at that peak, that is not my time to now try to talk to you and implement these things. And like now, like I'm even escalating you even further. So I think that is important to know too, of just what are we all aligned in what this means? Because I think kiddos get confused a lot too, when, especially I think when you get to the middle school, some of the older levels where they're moving to different classrooms, right? They're not in the same classroom for majority of the day. They see, someone else for history and ELA and math, and Liz's classroom over here, management is completely different versus Sherann over here versus Scho's over here. And like, then as a kid, well, I don't know how I'm supposed to act because it's different in every single classroom that I'm in.
So can we?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so you going right into that area where folks struggle to have a whole school conversation about this. And I'm gonna say it because it's not a curse word, right? Or a curse acronym. MTSS, Tier 1.
I mean, yes. And taking it back even a step with MTSS,
Please.
that I really have seen is I've seen a lot of educators in schools when it comes to the academic side of MTSS, we got that on lock. Like we know what tier 1 is clearly, what tier 2 is clearly, what tier 3 is clearly. If tier 3 ain't working, now we know when to evaluate, you know, when, like what are the next steps? There's a system. But for whatever reason, we are not generalizing that to the behavior side of MTSS. It's like we're doing tier 1. I'm putting air quotes on that very loosely, you know, classroom management tier 1. And it's like, this isn't working. This kiddo needs to be evaluated. Like, Scho, I need you to come in. Like, what, bro? Like, show me the data. Like, what have you done at each stage? So that's when I, on the outside, right, kind of coming in, I will get frustrated. Like, y'all tripping. What are you doing? Where's the data? Like, no. Return to sender. Like if I do for every single kid that like, no, like I need y'all to do y'all due diligence. But then what I came to realize too was that there is no clear process. This has been the process. We can't figure it out with classroom management. Kiddos are getting evaluated because even admins, and no shade to y'all, also don't know like what is tier 1 behavior strategies, what are tier 2 behavior strategies, what does the data look like, what are tier 3 behavior strategies, what data should I be taking, and then how does this fit into, you know, like they go hand in hand. And a lot of times the kiddos that we see struggle behaviorally also like a lot of times, not every time, but also a lot of times tend to struggle academically. You know, they go hand in hand. But I would love for y'all to talk more about that, especially having been teachers and in an admin role of just what MTSS, especially on the behavior side, has looked like in the buildings and the settings you all have been in.
I will say one of the things that I did as a school counselor and then school leader, and I just mentioned modeling, I would ask what's in your toolkit. And I was like, well, did you pull out what about the visual cues, the look? See, in high school, the look only goes so far at this point because they, you know, they think they're grown. But they see me coming and be like, oh, Miss Jackson's coming. Or I come in the room and I'm like, you know, you don't have to say anything sometimes.
Nothing.
The look, right? So which is a visual cue, right? Like I'm gonna visually cue you that you need to get yourself back on task, right? Like so, but it's like what's in your personal toolkit? And I had big kids, so I understand that little kids are a little bit different, but even tapping your watch, or you go by the student if there's not a touch boundary, you put your hand on their shoulder and you kind of like gently redirect them back to what's on the page, or you bring them a fresh pencil while you're still talking. And that only comes with practice and skill, right? Like, oh, you just walk by their desk and hand them the pencil so they stop fidgeting and doing whatever they're doing. That's off task. But that's learned, right? And particularly as a new or novice, you know, young teacher, you have to go watch the pros do it. Like, and so one of the things that we had to do was spend time finding coverage and allowing folks to go observe other folks so they could just, oh, that's what that looks like. I don't know why I was making that so hard in my mind. I just literally have to have the sharpened pencils and then I just walk by and just go drop it off. Like, yeah, you doesn't have to stop your lesson. It doesn't have to do any of that. So what does that look like when we talk about those types of strategies? So we talked about having the expectations, modeling the behavior, practicing the behavior, and then what those visual cues look like. And then the last thing I have to ask y'all about, which like a follow-up question, is about your environment. What does it feel like when the kids walk in the room so they actually know I want to be here and learn, so we don't trigger those behaviors and they can't wait to get out to gym class?
And I will say, I'm going to put some language to this because I love how this has come up twice in behavior science and ABA, in the field of ABA and behavior science. We actually call this behavior skills training. So that continuous cycle of how we're teaching skills and maintaining skills. We first instruct, right? We're telling you what we want you to do, then we're modeling. So we're showing you what to do. And I think sometimes that piece we miss is the modeling piece. What does it look like? Either I'm showing you or watching a video, I'm video recording y'all and like showing it back to y'all. Like, what did we do well? What should we be doing? What should we not be doing? Then that feedback, that practice, right?
Mhm.
So whether it's in the moment, whether it's, hey, we have a transition coming up in 10 minutes, let's practice real quick standing up and pushing in our chairs, right? So like practicing in the moment, or even just building in that practice continuously, and then that feedback. Like, I love it how everyone did this, or back to the video example. Let's look at this video. Like, how do you do it? What should it look like? Did we do it well? Did we not do it well? And that cycle continuously happens. And just like you said, Liz, too, of like adults need it too. This isn't just a thing, I think a lot of times we forget as leaders of like, no, the adults should just get it. I said it, but like, nah, the adults need it too. We need to practice. What does classroom management look like? Even if it's with adults, pretend we're the kids. How are you going to get our attention? How are you going to do X? And being able to provide those chances to model and practice and give feedback. But I just wanted to put language to that because it's come up twice.
So you guys said a lot of wonderful, like all these little points, and I'm like, yes, oh wait, no, yes, But I think what I want to start by saying, and I know that this might be controversial, but it's just the truth that I've seen across a lot of different schools. There are people who really don't like teaching, who teach every single day.
Not even don't like teaching.
They
Don't
like kids.
Yikes.
Every
I'm just gonna pause right there for a second and just give you that visual cue. Like there are there's so many people who do not like children and continue to teach every day. And I know that that's a touchy subject and it's just a whole thing, because I think we've been trained to believe that everyone who's a classroom teacher absolutely loves kids and is great at it. That's not how it is, at least not anymore. So I just wanted to name that first, because if you are in a profession where you're working with kids that you do not like, you are probably not going to be the one who's going above and beyond to learn more about your students, to learn how to work with them well, to figure out who their families are, what they're coming from. Because we cannot have a classroom management or behavior or counseling conversation without bringing up how important their home life is. I can do 8 to 3. I cannot do 3 p.m. to 8 a.m. And so what you have set up in your classroom, the environment, like Sherann talked about, when my students come in, this is supposed to be about love, respect, learning, safety. But if I come in and I feel like this is one more place as a student, this is one more place where someone's pointing their finger at me and telling me everything that I'm doing wrong, like they do at home or daycare or grandma's house, whatever it is, how am I going to learn in this environment?
Yep.
If I know that you don't like me, and kids know when their teachers don't like them,
no.
how am I going to learn? Yep. Now, when I ran my classroom, I told them all the time, in this classroom, we will respect each other from 8:05 on the first day till 3:05 on the last day. And if I see you out on the weekend, I'm still going to respect you, right? And I would tell them also, we can have fun, but we have work to do, right? And you can do that in a classroom. But what is starting to happen is we're getting so into this data and testing and all of this curricular stuff that we're losing the piece of who these students are.
The soft skills. Yeah.
Exactly.
We forget to build rapport. Yeah, we forget to build rapport. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I tell new teachers all the time, yes, classroom management does need to be worked on and taught those first 6 to 8 weeks or 10 weeks of school. Absolutely. I say usually the beginning of the year till Halloween. You're really digging in on that classroom management. But during that time, you should be building a relationship. So if I walk in your classroom and I point at Susie, tell me what her favorite color is. Because I can bet you she's probably picked the pink Post-it note, the pink pencil, the pink backpack, the pink, folder, right? Like, get to know these kids so that when you have to do the kind of messy moments of, hey, Susie, You've done this 5 times now.
Right.
I got to get mom involved. She's not looking at you like, you never talk to me. Now you want to talk to me?
Right.
Right? Like we're walking away from that. But our generation and the kids who are coming up are like, we thrive off of that.
Yep.
They're trying to help us learn that they are people. And we're over here just trying to make them a testing number. It doesn't work like that. Classroom management isn't just you're not an inmate.
Yeah.
You're
Which
not just a number.
into two questions I had, and you kind of already said it. So, how much of classroom management do you think is about the clear expectations versus building the relationship? So, like when you look at some of the teachers that you have been around who consistently are able to build that positive classroom culture, and those who have struggled, where does
I
that
really
line lie?
I think you have to look at those first 8 to 10 weeks.
Mhm.
Were they building relationships? Do they know their students? Do they love their students when it gets hard? At the
Yep.
end of the day, are they in the hallway with the other teachers talking about, I can't even stand Susie. Every single time she's here, it's all about her. Or, right? Are they doing that all day at the end of the day, or in the teacher's lounge? Are they like, you know what? Today was hard because of this and this, and they make it about the behavior and not about the student,
Yep.
right? Like, what's happening those first to 10 weeks? Because I can promise you, if you are not building those relationships, August through or September through October, when
Yeah.
you get to Christmas break or they come back from Christmas, you're
Yeah.
not they're not going to be different people. You're
Yeah.
not suddenly going to like them so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And again, like we've talked about, these students, they know this. They know you don't like them. They know you talk about them. They know you don't call on them. Right. They feel it. They see it.
Feel
It's actively happening. They
especially
see
the
you
younger
calling
kids,
down to the office. Yeah.
especially the younger, like I mean, older kids too, but younger kids, I would always say, like, y'all, like you got to have some fun. I sit in this classroom and I'm bored, like, and I mean, and I'm an adult, but I'm ready to fall asleep. So I can't imagine this kindergartner, first grader, they're trying to come to school and kick it. Like that's what it feels like. They should be excited to want to be in your classroom because they're having so much fun in their classroom and not like you said, I'm never getting called on. We're always getting yelled at. My teacher don't like me. I had a girl like that in first grade who she was too smart for her own good. So that was one of the issues. Because she was always like, these kids are so stupid. This is the answer. She was hilarious. But part of it was her, because she was so disruptive, it became more about her behaviors instead of her. And she would tell me like, she doesn't like me. So why, like I'm gonna get in trouble anyway. So I might as well just say what I'm not supposed to say. Because even when I don't say it's anything, I get blamed for things. Kiddos definitely. So then a question that I get a lot, and this is to the both of you, especially as administrators, how do we hold students accountable while still recognizing the barriers or the lack of rapport, especially maybe at the beginning of the year? So like while still recognizing the barriers that they may be facing, or just the lack of rapport that we may have built with that student.
Whew. That's such a big question. And I would take it back, right? Like when we're thinking about what that looks like across the learning community, right? I think it's not just this particular classroom, a particular student. We have to engage our families, communities. It's a culture thing, right? So what is it that we are not looking at, not addressing, or too afraid to look at or not address because of budgets, politics, or policy? Right. There's usually something that's getting in the way where we're too afraid or not willing to put ourselves, our jobs on the line, if that's what it truly is, to do right by kids.
I
And I know
agree.
that was a big answer, But if you think about it and you drill all the way down to that, it's like these things impact kids directly. So what is it that we're not willing to acknowledge or say is true so we
Yeah.
can fix it?
Absolutely. And I think I'm a real life scenario type person. So I like to say, for instance, like if you have a student who isn't eating breakfast at home for various reasons and
Yeah.
they're falling apart by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you know that they're not eating breakfast at home, I need you to give them some food.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
can't do her math. She can't
Mhm.
do her reading. She's
Right.
falling apart because her stomach is growling. Give
Mhm.
her some food, right?
Please.
Like, please. As an administrator, I am not gonna be like, not a good teacher. She stopped to give Susie a snack. What?
Yeah.
No. Actually, I'm gonna be like, thank you. You
Right.
noticed this pattern
Yeah.
and said, hey, let's try this. It's not about the pencil. It's not about the reading. She's hungry, right? So I think to Sherann's point, like, we need to stop thinking, oh, we don't have the money in the budget to feed these kids, or we don't have XYZ. We can find the money. We
Yeah.
don't want to find the money, but the money is there.
It's always there.
It's
And the
always
services and
there.
resources are there, right? So we
Absolutely.
started leaving, well, we had to follow the health commission's protocol, right? But
Right.
we just got the ice packs,
Oh,
and we
yes.
just started leaving it out. So when the kids could walk in, so that so we didn't get in trouble, like the temperature was too high. She
Oh,
shouldn't have
yeah,
served
yeah,
the
yeah.
food.
Yep.
We just left the fruit and the juice and a dry snack out.
Hmm.
So we're not pouring cereal. We're not doing it that because you got to get into class. But there is something you could grab on the way in that wasn't disruptive, wasn't going to cause a mess, but you could walk into class and grab a snack, and it was available for everybody. So it also didn't call out Susie because Susie was hungry. Anyone could get it.
Absolutely.
Have a snack.
And
Yeah.
so
And
there's literally just small changes and small shifts that don't actually have to disrupt the culture, don't have to call out, embarrass a kid. It's literally just the thing you can do that does right by kids.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
it sounds like the answer to that question, which I'm happy to hear, because as a behavior specialist, I think I say this all the time. Because the answer I get, like that question I get all the time is, how do we hold the student accountable? How do we hold little Susie accountable because of her actions? But it really sounds like how we hold little Susie accountable is us by adults holding ourselves more accountable and really thinking, how can we change our environment, or how can we alter some of our environment or some of our responses to help
Mhm.
little Susie
Hmm.
be successful? So
Mhm.
I love that, because a lot of times when it comes to classroom management or following a classroom management plan or even a behavior plan, I'll hear a lot of like, well, little Susie isn't following her plan. And I'm like, great. Well, little Susie has a plan for a reason, because
Right.
we know she's not doing X. So it's not really up to little Susie to follow her plan. It is up to us as an adult to, like, the plan is for the adult, not for little Susie, right? The plan is like for the adult. Same with classroom management. Really, the plan is like, yes, we have these expectations for everyone to follow, but it is my job as the adult of how am I setting up the environment and building the relationships and really setting everything up for the kiddos, and teaching and modeling and practicing for the kiddos to get to a point where they are able to understand and follow, and to be able to continuously maintain the skills that they need to be able to follow the expectation.
Mhm.
Oh, and I
Mhm.
think to add to the accountability piece, like if you know a student who, I don't know, just they come from a rough situation, whatever, and you could fill in the blank on what that rough situation looks like, and they act out in XYZ way, you
Mhm.
can still hold that student accountable while carrying the fact that this is what home may look like, right? So if they're throwing a book or they're yelling at you, you can address that and say, hey, you know what? I understand that you're upset when they're ready to have that conversation, not most of the time, not in the moment, right? And just say, you know what? I knew you were upset. I know that you didn't like that they laughed at you or whatever the situation that happened. But in our classroom, we cannot hit others or we cannot throw whatever. And also understand that this is being modeled for them at home, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think we do need to still hold students accountable for the behaviors that they exhibit,
Yeah.
but also carry or hold on to the fact that some hard things are happening at home, and that's what they're exhibiting or that's what they're seeing at home or being modeled as a way to handle anger,
Yeah.
and show them like, nope, in this classroom, this is not how we handle our anger. We don't hit, we don't yell at each other in the face, right? Because I think some people, kind of to like what Sherann said, they're afraid to like confront that. They're afraid to be like, oh, well, they're just upset and things are hard at home. Yes, you can have that. But that does not mean that you get
And
to hit in the
yeah.
classroom.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can tell them that. And they might not like it. It might take multiple conversations,
Yeah.
but you can hold them accountable for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're not a bad teacher if you recognize what's happening and hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's actually a really good thing to do
Yeah.
because they
And
need to learn that skill.
they do need to learn the skill, and that skill translates to academic achievement. I just want to say that. So there's something we said initially when we talked about Susie being hungry and can't learn math. When she's not hungry, she can learn math. Your test scores go up. When you address the behavior and they can engage appropriately with their peers and in the classroom, their test scores go up. And I
Absolutely.
want to show Monique's comment on the stage, which I really appreciated. She said that we're focused too much on fun and photo ops rather than rigorous education. How? You know what I'm saying? Not Monique's comment. She's saying she read an article that said that. And so I
Right.
just want to say it's interesting about the perspective that people have when we're meeting kids' basic needs.
Yeah. And I also want to say, though, I think this may come out of, and this is a whole soapbox that I feel like we could have a whole another hour about. I think part of this reason, and maybe in popular opinion, might just be something people don't want to say. PBIS is part of this problem because not that PBIS is the problem, so I want to make that very clear. I just think the implementation of PBIS tends to just end up being PBIS is all the kids who did what they were supposed to do get to go to this party at the end of the month. But then me sometimes as a contrarian, I'm like, well, tell me about like your PBIS system. What is PBIS? Like I play stupid sometimes. And like, you can't explain PBIS to me. Right. So I think that's part of the issue. But then there's the other side is I think there are a lot of teachers who are tasked to oversee PBIS, which I think to me is a whole separate job in itself. So just unfortunately, if I am a teacher and I have to do all these things just to keep my job, this PBIS role is going to fall at the bottom of my to-do list. Right. Because I just don't have time for it. So then sometimes it turns into just like, oh, we're having too much fun, or it's just parties and celebrations, which I think are important and, to build that rapport and build that community, not just for the kiddos, but for the adults, right? I want to work somewhere where I'm having a good time. Like if I come in every day and I'm miserable and there's no fun and no one's laughing and no one's joking and we're not celebrating each other, we're not having fun with the kids, like I don't want to be there. That's boring, right? Like
absolutely
I'm stay in this environment. But I think that may, in my opinion, is some of that is just PBIS is meant to build in that reinforcement and that fun into the rigor of education. But I think a lot of times it's just not implemented effectively or to its level it's supposed to be, because the people who are tasked to do it are the teachers who are busy doing a million other things that they have to do just on just the baseline for the job of they have to do, plus all the extra that the teachers do on top of that. So
agreed. Well, and I think people who write articles like that, they're probably not teachers. B, they probably haven't been in a classroom in a long time, right? And C, I don't think they've ever actually either been in like a turnaround school, or they've never been in a situation where none of their fifth graders were at reading level and now they all are. Like, that is a cause for celebration. And if you've never actually worked with a room full of fifth graders who are reading at first grade level, and now it's March and they're all reading at fifth grade level, or 3/4 of them or half of them are, like, that's a cause for celebration. But these articles make it sound like we have a celebration because it's Tuesday. No, 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 no. We're not having a Tuesday celebration.
Right.
And maybe sometimes we are having a Tuesday celebration because child this past month has been off the chain and
that
we made
too.
it, and we just gonna celebrate a quick Tuesday, okay?
And that too. But they, it just drives me crazy because I'm like, when was the last time you were in a school? Oh, when you were in 12th grade. Got it. So you have no idea what you're talking about. But also, like, I don't think people understand how those celebrations actually pour into those students, recognizing how much growth they've had in their reading, math, science, whatever it is. It's important to say that out loud, because we surely spend enough time telling them what they're not doing well. So why can't we spend some time saying, hey, we had this goal and we met it? And that's a big cause for celebration.
Yeah.
Right? Or when a school-wide thing happens, hey, we raised $30,000 for our new playground. Goodbye, old rusty playground. We're all getting a new one. That's a cause for celebration. These kids don't have jobs. They had to do a lot of work to raise $30,000. Right? They had to go and ask people or make something or whatever it was. Like, before you start telling us that all we do is celebrate, why don't you come to my school for 20 minutes and see what it is we're celebrating? Just 20 minutes, not even the whole day. Just give me 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Listen, we probably could go another 3 hours and just chat. I would love to end with, for you, Liz, especially, but Sherann and I will also add in. What is your biggest piece of classroom management advice that you wish definitely every new teacher received as they came in, but I think every teacher, what is the biggest piece of classroom management advice that you would give any educator out there? Or
it's kind of like a twofold, but my biggest one is start it from day one. And I mean, when they walk through that classroom, show them how to walk into the classroom from day one and continue to model and practice it over and over and over. And even when you think they got it, practice and model it again and again and again and again and again. And I know it's going to drive you batty. Like, you're going to be like, I don't know how many times I'm going to tell you to push your chair in. You're going to say that. It's going to frustrate you. It's going to frustrate them. You're going to hear all this hemming and hawing and sighing and deep sighs and all of that. But keep doing it. Like, again, why? Or the little boy or little girl who doesn't do it right. And they're like, man, we all got it except you. Like, you know what I mean? Because peer pressure works sometimes. But, it's so important, again, to start day one and continue practicing and implementing and modeling all year long. It may seem monotonous, it may seem frustrating, but I promise you, you will have a much better school year, a much better classroom, a much better environment if you stick to it and just keep going. And the reality is, that's a good skill for your students to learn. We're going to keep going. Don't give up.
Kind of going off of that, my biggest piece of advice with that, starting off strong, is building the rapport. You got to get to know the kids. And like we said, you're not going to like every kid. You're not going to be every kid's cup of tea either. And that is okay, right? Like, I hate teachers were like, I liked every single last one of my kids. Let's be real. There was a handful of kids we all were like, man,
if they're not at school today, I'm okay.
Exactly. Like, I will have a great day today and I'm going to not be stressed today. But we have to build rapport, like building that community, building that culture, I think goes right along with the classroom management. I don't think classroom management there is the implementation piece of classroom management, but it really does start with that rapport building. Kiddos and people in general are more likely to follow what you want them to follow if they like you. Thinking about as adults, past bosses. Okay, the bosses that I didn't rock with, not that I completely defied them, but I'm a little more like I'm going to ask a little bit more questions. I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant to just follow through with some of the things that you want me to do because I don't rock with you. I don't mess with you either because of experience. Something has happened. I just don't trust you. So I'm just more skeptical of just following along versus a boss who has been there for me, who's rocked with me, who I've built that trust, the rapport. Even if I don't necessarily like this new policy they're putting in place, I get them. I understand them. You know, I know how they roll. So it's like, okay, man, I like it, but cool. Like what you need me to do. So I think that rapport is key. And like Charlene said, kiddos just like us have so much on their plate any given day. Some of these kiddos sometimes have experienced more in their little 6 years of life than I have in my almost 40. So what they experience when they first come to school and just us building that rapport is huge. So that would be my advice along with that.
Yeah. I'm going to start to the counselors. I'm going to say for all of the student support team members and counselors, please become visible. You don't got to hide in the shadows. You're there for a reason and you're a part of the community for too long. We've been thought of as auxiliary. And that's not the case. And it definitely isn't the case anymore. And maybe it was at one point where you were an addition to school communities and learning communities. But now we really need to think about how that work needs to align with the greater mission of the school and community. And we got to get to a place of coherence in the work, right? The work that you're doing for social emotional learning and student support and academic support drives us towards our academic achievement goals for our students, right? And that has to be visible in the community so everybody's having that same conversation. And then to my school leaders listening, hey, let's make sure we're giving high quality coaching and feedback so people don't feel left out, particularly for our novice and new teachers. It has to be implementable, right? It has to be tangible for them. And sometimes it means you go in and model with and for them. Like, I'm sorry, I know we're busy. We are all busy as school leaders, but they don't know what they don't know. And so and Dr. Kim in the comments mentioned like there's not clear language, that everybody's not using a shared language across the board when we're talking about classroom management. And we've got to get to that point where our teacher programs in higher ed are teaching and when they're coming to do their practicums, and then they can feel it within the school building. Oh, okay, this is what shared language looks like. This is how it's modeled in this particular school community. This is how we're executing it. And so for me, it's I know we're hearing a lot about this idea of alignment. It's because it's true. Like everybody's doing their own thing right now and it doesn't work. And the kids end up feeling it first. It's chaotic. Yeah. So to Principal Liz's point, we're talking right from chaos to clarity. We got to get there. Like we can no longer be in these tornado cycles of fix this. Okay, fix this. We can't do that anymore. We can't. Our kids feel it first and feel it most, and they deserve better. They deserve our best.
Yeah. I mean, we're there for kids, y'all.
Yeah.
How you here and don't like them? What you doing?
I mean, like you literally walked into an elementary school. Who did you think was going to be in there?
Who did you think was there?
Elementary school kids, and like I get it. Kids are different. But
absolutely they are.
The kids today aren't the kids we were when we went to school, right? There's so many things that have changed with social media and COVID. Like there's just so much more immediate access to things, especially when you think of electronics and how that has grown. It's just different. And that's one of the things sometimes, especially with my older teachers, that sometimes I need y'all to understand that like parents aren't the same. right? Like my generations of the 80s babies, we are the last generation that was in between both, right? That didn't have the electronics growing up and kind of grew adults with that. But parents today, you know, like a lot of the young 90s, 2000s parents, because it's 2026. So, right, you could have been born in the 2000s and very much have a kid in school right now. They grew up with electronics and constant, you know, so it's just like we as adults and the education system, and I think education system at large, not any specific teachers, on a state level, on a national level, we have not shifted yet to meet the needs of a new generation. And we are that definition of insanity. We are just like, we're just going to keep things the same and hope for better. And like, we're going to keep failing if we don't keep changing,
like literally failing
and procedures. Yeah. Yeah, and video modeling. That's what I remembered I wanted to tell you. I know as a BCBA, I would be busy, especially as a network BCBA, and I was overseeing 5 buildings and everything else. I can't be in people's classroom every single day. Like it's impossible. And I know just even building principles. As an athlete, I always like watching film of myself. I watch back film all the time. So that's what I would ask the teachers. Like, if you're comfortable, record times when your classroom is difficult, so I can see. Sometimes there is like a guest effect of like, I'm in the classroom and they're like, I swear they do not act like this is not
right.
Like now they know we got guests and they, you know, they're acting right. I would say record the classroom during a time. Put your laptop somewhere and just record it, you know, not as like, oh my God, you're doing these things wrong, but let's figure out like, what does it look like when someone's here versus the recording. Maybe before I even give you feedback, just video record yourself and see what's happening. And give yourself the feedback so it doesn't always feel like, oh, these people are coming in. That's how I felt with my coach all the time. Like, here go coach yelling at me again. And then I would watch video and I'm like, no, she right. She right. Okay. Like she
right.
And like, yep, there it goes. Plain as day, me on the video. Like get the video.
Yeah, those feedback loops are crucial. And as a school leader, it's my least favorite thing to do. And it's not because I didn't want my team to be great. It's because it's exhausting and you're not trying to nitpick. And so there's this really, so before AI, let me just be super clear, spent 20 years in the field. You were writing the feedback, right? You were going in, giving the feedback loop cycle, refining your language, you know, researching the skill, the resource, and having to give this to teachers and deliver it in a way that kept the communication lines open and didn't diminish the quality of their work and let them feel like they could grow. And it's hard when you have to go to someone and say, your data. You know what I mean? Like no one feels good. So you really had to hone that skill as a leader. And now with AI, it's very much scripted, but it makes it a little bit easier because she's like, my tone don't sound right here. Like, let me fix it, which is fine. No shade to those who are using the large language models to help refine their feedback, but it still needs to be actionable. It still needs to be coming from a growth mindset and solutions focused, right? And it has to be focused and centered on kids and well-being. And that's actually something I'm noticing still isn't there in our feedback language and in loops, like the way that we provide it. It's not kid-centered, it's adult-centered. That's another conversation for another day. But that what you said, Coach, just made me think about that. Like when you receive feedback and you had to be coachable.
Yeah.
Hello. That my coach, my leadership coach said to me, Sherann, are you coachable today? I had to be like, man, why are you trying to call me out? And I had to sit there like, oh, wait, I might not be. Maybe
and that's where rapport comes in, right? Because my volleyball coach, she was like second mom. Whatever she told me, jump how high, girl, baby girl. Okay. So in the moment, I was like, you yelling at me, you doing a little too much. But I was like, okay, let me go look at this video. Because if she yelling at me, that's too much. Like, let me see it for myself. So I think, again, it goes down to the rapport, right? Like with her, cool. But then somebody else coming in, I'm not rocking with you, you know. So like that does, again, that matters. Yeah. Like sometimes it's not it's what sometimes not what you say, it's how you say it, and really knowing your team members and what kind of rapport you have with them is
And
so
like
important.
Sherann said, helping them see what's the bigger picture. So, like
Mhm.
for your volleyball coach, she's trying to help you be great so your team can be
Can be
great.
great.
So
Yep.
you can win
Say it
awards
again.
or win the matches.
Yep.
And with these teachers, no, I'm not telling you this because I don't like your red shirt. I'm
Yeah.
telling you because I've seen a pattern of you sending 13 kids to show every day.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we have 13 kids in your classroom when you have a behavior plan, we need to have a different conversation.
Right.
Again, this is not about your shirt. It's about the fact that you sent 13 kids to the principal today.
Yep. And I'm trying to help you. Like there's clearly an issue, and I'm not saying it's a you issue, but like something with the
Something's going on.
environment isn't working. So what
Exactly,
do we
which
do?
means I've got kids who aren't learning.
Yep.
And now I've got a bigger issue.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, it's there. That's a whole nother conversation.
I thank you, Liz, for saying just thank you for like saying it just like that. Like hello, like it's for the team. Like if we can elevate anything, you being great and executing moves to right us creating a team, a school community, a culture of achievement. Hello, Teresa Perry, Dr. Teresa Perry, y'all, culture of achievement. That is what we are working towards, and we have to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Great conversation. Wish we had another hour. Listen, we'll have to slate you to come back because
Yes, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Multiple parts. Thank you for that comment, Charlene. She says, so glad you brought this up. The schools are not keeping up and the students and teachers are paying the price. I agree. There is definitely a larger systems issue that again could be a whole other episode. Well, Liz, we've really loved having you on today.
Thank
Is
you so
there
much.
anything else? Is there anything you have coming up? Anything you want to tell everyone listening or everyone that's going to watch this back about things you have coming up in the summertime?
Yes. So I have summer strategy sessions coming up. They're all about classroom management. And with those also comes 3 coaching sessions in August, September, and October, which if you've been listening or hearing this back, you know that those first 3 months with classroom management and building rapport are so important. So imagine having some strategies as a new teacher when you walk through the door, but then also having a personalized coach who can just say, hey, you can reach out to me. We can work out, observations depending on how close you are. So yeah, I would love to help you. You can DM me. We can work out payment and all of that. But yes, summer strategy sessions just to talk and figure out what is classroom management, how to get you set up for success and confidence for the beginning of the year.
And where outside of LinkedIn, and I'll put it in the chat and I'll put it in the chat again, but where can people find you?
Yes, so
or find more information about your strategy session?
Yes, so the best place is probably Instagram, L.Brown EDU Consulting. That's the best place to find me, or LinkedIn. Those are usually the 2 easiest to find me.
Okay. So we will put these in the chat.
And my LinkedIn is just my name, Liz Brown.
So we will put the links in the chat and
Perfect.
everything in there on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
We loved having y'all. Sherann, you got anything coming up you want to tell the good people about?
I do. Well, I did a podcast, which is so exciting, with Dr. Sean Butts, and he does Beyond the Margins, and it deals with the alt ed space where I spent my 20 years, and would do it again if it meant that I could serve that population and students over and over. They have my heart. So we got into it. It was good. So if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. Beyond the Margins podcast. It was a lot of fun. And then I am doing my hidden leadership workshop. I'm running one June 18th. I still have a couple seats left. And then there's one happening July 23rd and August 13th. And it is to help our school leaders, district leaders, directors of counseling get it together with their data and make sure that your quality school plan, we call it up here in Massachusetts, but your school plans are aligned with your student support goals. And so we know that there's a gap there and we're not having those conversations together. And so I'm calling everybody into the room together. So our school counseling team leaders and our district leaders to come have that conversation, how to make sure those goals are aligned. So you can join me at any one of those workshops happening. I'm offering them 3 times, June 18th, July 23rd, and August 13th.
Oh, make sure you drop those in the chat so that
Oh.
people know about that. Things I got coming up tomorrow, if there's any school BCBAs or BCBAs who may be interested in schools. There is a Schools Out for Summit conference going on all day tomorrow. So you can register on Behavior Live. I mean, anyone is welcome if any educators are out there too. But that one is really geared towards those BCBAs or behavior specialists, school support specialists working in the school. And then on Monday and Tuesday, I will actually be in Columbus for the Council for Exceptional Children, the CEC Ohio 2-day conference. So anybody in the Ohio area, there is a big conference coming up. I will put that in the chat too. So I am presenting on both days. So excited to be there and hope to meet some of you out there in person.
That is so exciting. Yes. We're going to have to do an exceptional children episode. I know I've mentioned that I'm an awesome mom. I got 2 now spicy babies, and they're both gifted. And that is a very unique space to occupy, because talented and gifted isn't what it used to be in many of our school spaces. And so when you think about behavior and how you actually start to notice when kids are struggling, oftentimes they're gifted.
They're bored.
They're bored. And I've noticed that even in alternative ed, a lot of my alternative ed kids got in trouble because they were bored. You put them in a math class, you'd be like, I'm sorry,
you could teach this.
Why are you here? You know what I mean? In the most respectful way possible. Like, how have you failed this class 3 times? I ain't go. And I was like, you should have just gotten a final, or you should have been assessed and accelerated. And our systems, our policies don't allow that. Listen, we got a whole live for another day, but I can't wait to hear what you bring back from your exceptional students conference, because I think that's a powerful conversation to have around student behavior, because they get overlooked way too often.
No, I am super excited about that conference. And then even double excited because the larger conference, like the national conference, is actually in Columbus again, or not again, but in Columbus 2027 in March. So I'm excited because that's, 2 hours down the road, but down the road as well. So I'm excited to hang out at that one too.
Oh my. Okay. So many good things going on. Liz.
Yes, ma'am.
My sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And thank you for serving our children in a way that elevates their brilliance, their excellence, and really feeds them in their soul so they can be anything and everything that they want to be, particularly in 2026, right? These kids, we don't even know what the world is going to look like tomorrow. And the work that you're doing is allowing us to dream in that way. Like, we're teaching, we're educating, we're supporting these young people. And the work that you're doing through your consulting company is allowing the educators and the folks supporting them to feed into these young people and to really pour into them. So thank you.
Thank you for your kind. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's huge. I just believe that every single kid should have a good educational experience. And I know that it's not happening. And I loved school. I was raised by an educator. Like, I loved it. And so when I hear about kids who are like, I don't even want to go, I'm like, but why? So that's a whole nother conversation too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love school. I love education. And I just believe that every kid deserves to have quality, safe, loving, and respectful educational experience all the way through.
Amen.
They do. Coach, you started your coaching season. We wish you a super
Yes, we started open gyms. We started open gyms. So not quite, we don't make the teams yet in Ohio. Tryouts, like official stuff, can't start till August 1st. So it's just a lot of open gyms and then tryouts August 1st. And then the season, I'm already like, oh my God, back to every day, either practice or games. So I'm like mentally preparing myself because Christopher's also starting kindergarten.
Oh,
I know, right? I can't. My baby in the kindergarten.
I love that age.
That's another conversation we could have because I did not think it was going to be this hard to figure out what I wanted to do for kindergarten. Because I was like, yeah, public school, maybe private school later on, and just like being in schools and just understanding the landscape right now and funding issues and teacher shortages, that's a whole nother conversation we could have. Just did not think it was going to be this stressful to figure out what to do and to choose a path that was, again, focusing on students, right? Part of it me, but really like he's going to be in an environment for 6 to 8 hours a day. How do I set him up for success? Knowing he's going to be fine because of the home he's in, but also he's going to be in this other environment. So so we kindergarten ready.
I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. Our youngest skipped kindergarten, again, exceptional, but age-wise and just like temperament behavior, second grade is looking a little iffy. So we are in the same boat as you. Because he'll be on the younger end. Academically, he's beyond, but just developmentally, he's 6. So we are in the same boat as you, trying to figure out how to support. And our youngest is a mover and a shaker. And so trying to find a learning community that won't make her sit in a seat all day. She's not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, looking for flexible spaces and learning. And as parents, I know that we struggle. And as leaders, we want every young kid to feel successful, but we still got a job to do.
Absolutely. And you know what questions to ask, right? So that's what makes it hard. Is like, I'm gonna play stupid. I'm gonna like ask this question just out of because I just want to know your response, because your response.
I was gonna say it's not even about the question. I want to know how you answer.
Correct. That's how I was in some of these things. I'm just like, oh, I'm just this parent, but let me ask, how do you coping strategies? What's that like? And then she started talking about PBIS, and I was like, baby girl, we're not even explaining that right. And I'm trying not to put it against you, but it's just like, so like you said, I know what questions to ask, and I know what it should and could look like. So then it's a little harder because it's like, you're never going to find an environment that's completely perfect. And I am not trying to homeschool ever in my life. That's not something I'm made
for. Calling. Yeah.
So it's like, nothing's going to be perfect, but it's job.
Well, we need to name the fact that having boys in school right now and boys of color in school right now, you have to ask some hard questions.
You do.
Because you won't call me because they had an issue. Because if I have to come through those doors and I find out that they didn't actually have an issue, it was an issue on the adults' end. Now we have an issue.
Yeah. And I know how to bring up that issue. I understand the legalese. So you won't be able to punk me in the meeting because I'm a play stupid for a little bit until I gotta drop some heat. And listen, we're gonna uno that real quick. Let me get this reverse part on you real quick. Yeah,
no, my son did not. He did not.
And if I know my rights as a parent, okay?
Listen, when the parents come in and you are right and you're mad, I'm like, yeah, we're having the same conversation. Let's talk about it. Yeah. They did it, but let's talk about why they did it. And sometimes it goes back to the adults.
Absolutely. And I have no problem, consequences with my
Mhm.
son. Oh, you got smart with your teacher? We're going to have a conversation about this.
We're
Because
gonna
no,
talk
you
about that when
didn't.
we get home. Okay, cool, bet.
Right. Like you do
Uh-huh.
need to contact me if we have an issue. But if I find out issues that that they got smart with you because you called them such and such, or because da 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 da, now we have a problem.
Mhm. Yep.
Because
And
it's
just so you know, I'm not getting smart. I've been smart. So
there
smart.
it is.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if there was any better way to close out our live, I ain't getting smart. I've been
I've
smart.
been smart.
Come on, Liz. You know
It's
what?
just,
That's it.
and it's
Mic
same for my
drop.
kids. We've been smart.
We've been smart. Come on, excellence.
Yeah.
That's how we do in my house.
Listen, you all, ladies, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. We will post our next live date. It's summertime. It's getting a little wonky, but you
I
know,
know,
right? Very, very soon.
Bye, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.